Hey, I'm Kevin, you're in my kitchen, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Thai-inspired butternut squash soup. Now I've been working on this recipe for a couple weeks, just tweaking things here and there, but what I really like about it is that you take two things you don't normally think would go together, just kind of the familiar down-home flavor of butternut squash, mixed in with some of the more exotic notes of Thai cuisine. We're going to use my favorite secret weapon in the kitchen, red curry paste, some chilies, and coconut milk. So you take two things that you don't normally think would go together at all, and you mash them all together, put them in your mouth, shut your eyes, and just kind of let the magic take over, and suddenly you're very happy and it all makes sense, at least for one night. So it's kind of like a third date, or a first date if you're a hoe. So let's get started. First things first, we're going to preheat the oven to 375. The nice thing about this recipe is you do get a lot of time while you're prepping stuff for other things to settle in. So the first thing we're going to do is get this butternut squash ready to go. It goes in the oven for an hour, and that's going to give us some time to prep the other vegetables. And then we're probably going to get a little break in there, which is nice. Honestly, it's not that much work for the amount of food you're going to wind up with. I know this seems like a great deal of ingredients to start off with. I've doubled everything because I think when you're going to go through all the effort to make a soup, you might as well wind up with one gigantic pot of it. You can freeze it, you can put it in some Tupperware for 5 different lunches throughout the week. You can, if you're having a party, it's a great way to start off the meal. Long story short, you're going to put this much more effort in to double the recipe, so as long as you're doing all this, you might as well go for it. So, if you've never worked with butternut squash before, I'm guessing the thing that has scared you away from it is prepping it. It's really not all that hard. We're just going to take the top off there and then cut them in half. I'm using a beautiful ceramic knife today, and that works incredibly well to get through stuff like this. I'm not a strong man, so I need a knife that is deadly, essentially. The scary thing about ceramic knives, or the nice thing, I guess, is that they are so freaking sharp that you can cut yourself during breakfast and not even notice till like 3 in the afternoon. You're sitting at your desk, you look at your hand, and there might be a part missing. Not really a part, but you can give yourself a really deep cut, and it's just so freakishly sharp. You don't even feel it. That might not be a selling point for you, but I'm just letting you know, a weak guy like me can handle these pretty well. So I'm just going to knock out the rest of these. Kind of get in the edges. We want to get all that stuff out of there. Alright, all the squash is ready to go now. Now we're going to throw some olive oil on it. What I've done is just thrown a little bit of olive oil into a bowl, and I have a silicone brush. I love this because it's so easy to clean. If you just have a regular brush, that's going to work just fine too. If you don't have a brush in your kitchen at all, don't worry. Just grab a paper towel, dab it in the olive oil, and then just kind of wipe it across all of the butternut squash. There's always a way to cheat in the kitchen if you put your mind to it. You don't have to have every tool in the world. Unfortunately, I do have almost every tool in the world. I have gone insane. Alright, once we've got the olive oil on there, we're just going to grab 2 baking dishes. And throw these on there, cut side down. Let that go for an hour. Okay, so I've gotten the apples, carrots, and onion ready to go. Peeled the carrots, leaving the peels on the apples though. So I'm going to grab my handy little shortcut, my vegetable chopper. But if you don't have one of these, it's no big deal. Remember, you're throwing these all in and pureeing them at the end, so they don't have to look pretty right now. Alright, so I've got these ingredients ready to go. It's been about an hour, so I'm going to grab my butternut squash out of the oven. Of course, right now they're going to be piping hot. So we're gonna keep these out. I actually think if you let this cool about 10 minutes or so, once it hardens back up just a little bit, then the scooping is going to be easier. If we try to grab it right now, in addition to really hurting ourselves, the skin is going to stick to the squash as you try to scoop it out. So really, we've got a little bit of time there. Next, I'm going to grab a pot and we're going to melt down the butter, and then we're going to take the apples, onions, and carrots and throw those right in there. So we're giving this just about 5 minutes to get that nice glisten going on everything. Next, we're going to throw that red curry paste in. Now, I'm like I said, I don't really believe in moderation, so I'm using a heaping tablespoon of this stuff because I just love these flavors. Now, if you're at all worried about it, you could start off with a teaspoon or two and just taste it as you go along, just scraping the insides out at this point. Beautiful, much easier than many other methods of doing this. All right, the squash is ready to go. We're going to take that along with our 4 cans of broth, vegetarian vegetable for me. So now we've got the broth and the squash in there. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. So all the ingredients are in the soup now. We're going to bring it up to a boil and then reduce the heat and let it simmer for an hour without the lid on. Before you do that, if you want to give it a little taste test and see how you feel about the amount of red curry paste that you put in there, give that a shot and just keep adding until you're really in love with the curry flavor that you're getting from it. Like I said, if you're like me and you love big, bold, beautiful flavors, that tablespoon might not even be enough. So I'm actually going to give mine a taste here in a moment and see if I need to add more. I just don't want to lead you astray and have you go nuts with it like I would, in case in case you weren't as crazy as I am. Apparently, is what I'm trying to warn you about here. So give it a taste, see how you feel about it, and then you've got an hour to yourself again to just go have fun and be proud of the fact that we're about to make soup. Okay, so the soup's been going for an hour. Now, as you can see, all the ingredients are already starting to break down quite a bit. The butternut squash especially has just kind of disintegrated into the rest of the soup. But because of the stringy consistency of butternut squash, we're prevented from just stopping at this point and having a stew. It's almost there, but it's just a little bit weird. So, what you can do is work in batches, put this into your blender, pulse it until you get it to the consistency that you want, and then pour it into another container. Just keep working in batches until you get the soup just right. But if you're lucky enough to have a magic soup wand, otherwise known as an immersion blender, then this is going to be a lot more fun and a lot faster. If you don't have an immersion blender, really they're a lifesaver when it comes to soup. Things like smoothies too, but honestly 99% of the time I use it, it's just for something like this, where rather than having to move whatever you're working with in batches into a blender or the food processor, you can just do this. Now we're just going to add some of that coconut milk right into the soup. Don't forget, this is our garnish too, so you don't want to go overboard with it. Just about 1/3 of that can. Throw it in here, and then we keep mixing it in. Alright, once you're through with the blender and you've got the soup at a nice smooth texture, now comes the fun part. We're going to dress up the bowl with the garnishes. Move this soup into the bowl. Alright, so once you have the soup in there, we're going to take that sesame oil, the chili infused sesame oil, and just drizzle that like so over the top. That is just what gives this whole thing a very cool kick. And then to smooth that kick out, take your whisk and some of that coconut milk and drizzle that over the top too. And then we'll take the cilantro. And there you have it. Our Thai-inspired butternut squash soup. Delicious. Hey, we did it. We made our Thai-inspired butternut squash soup. And when you think about it, aside from prepping the vegetables and waiting for stuff to simmer, that really didn't take that much time to get that gigantic pot of food. Whether you're having a dinner party or you're just looking for a hearty meal with plenty of leftovers, I'm set for lunch for the week, at least. So I'm very proud of us on our first creation here together. I hope you had fun hanging out in my kitchen. I certainly did. Hope to see you back soon. Thanks.